Good morning, team, and welcome to Chapter 4. Before we get started, I want to say two things. First, there is a chart at the bottom of page 78 that has the class interval and the frequencies. I would like you to just ignore that. Second is number 2, we're going to ignore that also. These are obviously mistakes in the book, and we're not going to be responsible for them. So let's get started with question 1. I have renamed the data set that they gave you, Chapter 4, Practice Question 1. You do have all 50 comprehension scores in the data, and so let's see how we can answer the questions A, B, and C. The first thing you're going to have to do is create what in the book is called a class interval and what in SPSS is called a bin. So how do we create a bin in SPSS? Conceptually, it's the same thing. Think of your laundry. Typically, you separate it out into bins, whites, darks, colors. So you go to transform. It's called visual binning or binding. You tell it which variable you want to create bins for, hit continue, and you're going to get a menu. So let's give our bind variable or binned variable a new name. We're going to call it baskets because that makes sense. We know that our values range from 2 to 60. So you can use logic, you can use the standard deviation, you can use percentiles to create the cut points. So click cut points, make cut points so that we can do that. The first cut point location is 2. That's the minimum value in our list of comprehension scores. And we want essentially 6 cut points. That's going to give us about groups of about 10. So put in 6. If you wanted more, if you wanted smaller groups, you could put in 15 or 20, and that's going to give you smaller widths. It's going to auto-calculate the width for you. So by asking it for 6 bins, I get about a range of 10 in each bin. That is, the score goes from 2 to about 11, and then from 11 to about 22, so on and so forth. Click Apply, and when you hit OK, it is going to create a new variable for you. That's okay, because that is what you want it to do. So we have our new value here. It's called baskets. It's the same thing as a class interval. It's the same thing as a bin, and it essentially captures a range of scores into one value. It doesn't present them the way you would see it in perhaps Excel, where you would see the actual range. So 12 doesn't show the range that is 12 to, say, 20. It just shows the number 3. So let's set about answering our questions. Create a frequency distribution and a histogram for the data set. So all you have to do is go to Analyze, Descriptives, Frequencies. You're automatically going to get the frequency distribution. And you can tell it which variables you want. Let's do both. Statistics, we really just want the distribution, so we don't need to check anything here. What we do need to check is charts, because we do want a histogram. So to check histogram, determining whether a histogram is normal or not is easier if you have the normal curve displayed on top of it. So I would check that button, hit continue, and then OK. The output that you see is going to tell you this is your frequency table, your frequency distribution for your raw scores. It's going to tell you for every score that you have. It's also going to tell you for your bins. So bin number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, how many observations you have in each one of those bins. So we know for the first bin we have 1 observation. For the second bin we have 2, 3 we have 9, 4 we have 7, so on and so forth. We have created histograms for both of these. So we can see this is normal and the average is 34 for our raw scores. We should see most of our scores falling, or most of our values falling around the mean. It does not. That doesn't change if you bin the data or you create class intervals, it's still not going to be a normal distribution. As you can see, you have two spikes where the spike should be right here at the mean. It is on either side of it. So the correct answer is the distribution skewed? Yes, it is skewed. This is not a normal distribution, and this is how you create the class intervals or the bins that you need for the question 1 in chapter 4. On to the next one.